President, my distinguished colleagues. To begin with, I'm going to speak directly to what I know best, and that's Northwest Indiana. Those from the region know that we experience Indiana through a unique perspective. There's more than corn in Indiana. It's the Indiana Dunes, our only national park in this part of the country. It's the steel mills, the backbone of American industry. It's the home to countless families whose parents, whose grandparents, whose great-grandparents traveled from countries all over the world to build their lives with the promise of the American dream. Families who have built the economic engine that is Northwest Indiana. The exquisite geography, the culture, the industry, the unique identity. We're in our own time zone. We watch channels 2, 5, 7, 9, and 32 for our news. We cheer on the Bears, the Blackhawks, the Bulls, the Cubs, the Sox, whichever way you sway. Our kids play in the same athletic conferences. They attend the same churches. And so many of our constituents across the political spectrum punch the same time clock, depending on us, to give them a better life and a strong voice. These shared experiences shape who we are, and they shape what we need. But the region tends to carry a chip on its shoulder because our constituents sometimes feel like they're the forgotten. That's starting to change. We've seen great investment from the state over the last couple of sessions. But that brings me to why this bill troubles me. Under the proposed map, District 1 would include Lake County all the way down to Wabash County. And while today's Senate District 4 in Porter and LaPorte County would be dropped into District 2 that stretches all the way down to Whitley County. These are entirely different communities with entirely different economies and priorities. I've hosted many, many town halls to hear from my constituents about mid-cycle redistricting. And not a single person could point to Whitley County or had any connection to it. It's a beautiful county, it's a beautiful courthouse, but I have yet to hear from a single constituent in Northwest Indiana that believes that they should be redistricted into the same community that votes for the congressional leader all the way on the other side of the state. These town halls were packed events, and if you've ever been to one of my town halls, I start off every single town hall with a statement. There are no dumb questions. You're here to learn. I serve you equally. And intolerance of any position will not be tolerated. I've had people that have come to my town halls and strongly disagree with me on my position on legalization of marijuana and charter schools. So even I was surprised that not a single person came in support of mid-cycle redistricting. And that's not just my district, that's the region. They feel like they will go from the forgotten to the forsaken. These are not just Democrats. I've heard from countless conservatives, as of you, about how it's one thing to feel disappointed in seeing your candidate lose, but it's completely wrong to feel like your candidate is handpicking their voters, and not only handpicking them, but more importantly, whenever they want. That's essentially the standard that we're setting. But that's exactly why during the 2021 redistricting process, you fought so hard to keep communities of interest together. The region in District 1, South Bend in District 2, Fort Wayne in District 3, Indianapolis was District 7, and these maps made sense, and they were defended ferociously by this body. Each district currently shares the economic, cultural, and environmental concerns, and in 2021, you made sure to honor those differences. Now, one of my favorite members of this chamber has repeated to me, and usually after a spirited and a respectable debate, Senator Pol, that's a solid argument, but ultimately, elections have consequences. And I have to respect that. He's right. If we want to win, we got to win on our ideals, and we got to get out there and win those elections. But that loses all meaning when we're ensuring that elections can be manipulated whenever, so that it'll avoid all consequences. Now, one thing that I've heard is that if it were the other way around, I'm sure these maps could be drawn right now for 5-4. And I'll tell you this, I've said this time and time again, I would vote no, no questions asked. And here's why. I need to be able to look my constituents in the eye, and I need to make sure that they still trust me. I need them to know that I know that short-term political gain is not worth losing the trust of what's left in our institution. The same institution that protects our citizens, the same institution that writes the laws that gives us our rights and rights our wrongs. Losing that trust is wholly avoidable. But once it's gone, restoring that trust is not possible, not in an election cycle and potentially not in a generation. I'd like to point us to Federalist, the Alexander Hamilton from the Federalist from 59 to 61. Election regulations must be stable and free from fractional abuse. Hamilton argued for steady, predictable election rules. Indiana's mid-decade map changes are the kind of factional-driven manipulation that Hamilton cautioned us against. We have a responsibility to every voter in this state to preserve one Hoosier, one vote. I ask you to join me in opposing this bill. Let's do what's right, and let's keep our promise and the trust of people of Indiana. Thank you very much.